Hello, everybody. Road Warriors 627 here, and welcome back to another thoroughbred preview here on my channel. Today, we've got Belmont Stakes Day, the best day of racing all year, and don't tell me anything about the Breeders' Cup because I hate it. And if you like it, that's okay, but just respect the fact that I hate it for several reasons I've mentioned on Twitter a million times. This is my favorite day, though. It's my home track. It's got my favorite race on it every year, and it is stacked. Particularly race number 2, for a very particular reason, but we'll get there. Daily selections for this day and all days are always available on Twitter at RoadWarriors627 and also from Sammy Roseman at Roseman Sammy on Twitter. I'll introduce him in just a moment. Obviously, we got to talk about the weather a little bit. Rain likely Thursday into Friday. Saturday's going to be beautiful. The main track should be dried out by then, but the turf courses probably have some residual water inside there, so be aware of that. I think everything on Saturday should probably stay on the turf, but we really don't know. Just be aware. Here's my guess. This is the fourth and final video, same as the last video we did for the Belmont Stakes Racing Festival. We got Sammy Roseman.
Hello.
We've got Jack Sargent from Racing Rundown.
Hello.
And we've got Dennis Trusty making his second return in the same day.
Second return of the wait, this is Saturday.
Yeah, but we're recording on the same day. We're recording on the same day. So it still counts. Yeah. Anyway, 13 races, 11:35 a.m. First post. Coverage is on Fox Sports 2 from 11:30 to 3. And after the Belmont Stakes, from 3 up until the Belmont Stakes, it's less than pleasing coverage on NBC. Okay, race number 1. I was so excited about this race when I saw it come up in the condition book months ago because I said, wow, Wesley Ward is going to pull the uncoupled entry long exacta in the 2-year-old race on Belmont Stakes Day. I can't wait for this. And he doesn't show up in the race at all. Of course. So we have to look to some other people. Pletcher's got 2 really good-looking first-time starters in here. Maybe Pletcher can pull the thing instead. And there's also another horse I like. But I'll let you guys start talking about this race before I give my main 3 ideas in here.
This race, what Andrew said, it's cool to see a 2-year-old race on Belmont Day. But Belmont Day, in my opinion, it might be better. It's just as good as, it's just a little bit, maybe the Breeders' Cup's a little bit better because it's the Breeders' Cup, but this is just a great day of racing. I don't have any picks yet, but it's going to be fun to go through the car and stuff. This first race, we have the top Pletcher debuting a $575,000 horse for Pulley Stables owns St. Elias and Gainesway. I'd rather tease top Pletcher 8-5. This horse, you would think, should be able to win this race. I think he's gonna be favored. He'll definitely be more of a favorite. I think more than favorite than 8-5. I see more like 4-5, in my opinion. But any of you guys have thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with you, Sammy, on the 4. The 4 looks like the lock in here. I'm against the 3 because of the last video on Friday. The horse that won this race is 1-2, and it's an Oklahoma bred in a 3-horse field. So this horse only beat 1 horse last time, and couldn't beat an Oklahoma bred. So the 3 I'm gonna try to just use against it, and the 8 seems like very interesting why Luis Saez is riding here. He doesn't have to ride this race. He doesn't have to ride this horse. Rod's got to ride for Pletcher. Johnny V's got to ride for Pletcher. And Jose Lezcano's on the 3. That's a good horse for him. And then everybody else, besides Manny Franco, everybody else seemed kind of average jockeys. Or above average jockeys, except for Saez. He doesn't have to ride this race. He lands on the 8. I'm going to use him underneath. So 4 on top with the 2 and the 8. Going cheap here.
Well, to your point, I wouldn't say Ricardo's is average. I think he's above average, but like Ricardo's that guy that
Well,
likes to ride a long
let me
race.
let me make that clear though. Is I didn't think about Ricardo. Yeah, he actually is, but he don't have to ride this race either.
But
But
that's
I don't really
Ricardo.
like the horse here for him at
Ricardo's
all.
that guy. He's that top jockey that loves to ride in every race he can.
Yeah, I'm gonna box the two Pletchers in here with the horse on the outside. Too much action with the Saez horse that Dennis mentioned for Jeremiah O'Dwyer. Decent enough numbers with first time starters and a good ROI, which means he can get one every once in a while to run. They didn't pay that much money for this horse. I really don't care though. I feel like the workouts have been pretty good. And even though it might lose a little bit of ground into the turn and on the turn, not going to get in trouble, have a clear path. And I think Saez is very capable of riding these 5.5 furlong races. And maybe if everybody starts just sitting and doing nothing, maybe he hustles this horse. So that's my thought. The two Pletchers. Obviously, I'd like to see the longer Pletcher do better. Speaking of uncoupled entries, let's talk about the second race. Because the second race has two Chads, one first time starter for Klarovich at 7-2. And then he's got another horse for John Gunther and some bloodstock company, Pipeline. The only problem is here, the prices on the morning line are too close, and they are two of the favorites. So I'm not too excited about that. But he could still pull it off, and that's probably what I'm going to be betting on because that's what this guy does. The Belmont horse looks a little live, my grade, even though he's not great with first time starters. A few others in here that are interesting, like Terra Nova's horse. What do you guys have to say?
It's a nice race. The one is probably your most likely winner if you think about it. The angles are just there. Klarovich. I don't know how this horse is longer than the 6, who's trying turf for the first time. Probably handled the turf, but lost the first captain. But wasn't really competitive in that race. I just think this one. I don't know why the one's not more than my favorite over these horses.
Uh, I like the two horse here to run last. We pick him for last. Oh, we're not okay.
It sounds about right.
Um, no, I actually like the one, the first Chad Brown horse. I ride Klarovich, Tattersall's purchase for 250,000. Got the European bloodline all through it. If I was gonna go crazy here and say a horse to watch out for, Danny Gargan's horse, Kendrick Carmouche, gets a speed rider on there, claimed from Wesley Ward as a horse was a sprinter that never debuted as a 2 year old, and then Gargan claims it, stretches it out, and it doesn't run bad. If the horse can handle Carmouche sending this horse very fast out front, that horse might get loose and be dangerous.
Okay, I guess no other thoughts on the second race. Race number 3. This is where the long haul begins, people. 9 straight stakes races. Honestly, I wish they were kind of uh, broken up a little bit, but I guess you want to showcase good horses in the sport, and this is how you do it. So we're going to start with the Woody Stevens. It's a grade 1. It's got a 6-horse field. You're going to notice the dirt races on Belmont Stakes Day don't have a lot of horses. I'm not really a pick 5 player, although I am going to play the pick 5 on Belmont Day just because usually it's easy and it pays well because there's so much stupid money in the pools. So I'm probably going to at least play the early pick 5. We'll see what happens here. There's a very tough horse in here named Jackie's Warrior for the Ass Man, who ran very fast very early in the Pat Day Mile and held on. Do you guys like anybody to upset this horse?
I don't think. I just if Jackie's Warrior runs back that half-day mile, I think he should win this race again. That was just really fast. That was just really fast time. But the track was a little bit speed, which Dennis brought in a previous video. is usually like that on Derby Day.
Um, I'm not gonna lie. I might have been on my hands and knees last time, begging Dream Shake to get by, and he just couldn't. He just couldn't. They're breaking 1-2 again. They was head to head all the way through the stretch at Churchill on Derby Day. I'm gonna try to beat Jackie's Warrior with Dream Shake, but God, that's a hard thing to do. But I'm gonna try it. That's the only two horses in the race, so I don't think Cattle River's fast enough or talented enough.
Yeah, I'm going to go the exact opposite route. I'm not going to try to beat Jackie's Warrior. I said on my podcast after the Pat Day Mile that they could go sub 20, and I would still be very confident about Jackie's Warrior winning this race. And I'm going to stick by that. I know that they're going to go supersonic early. They might be passing Mach 1 going into the far turn, but Drain the Clock and Jackie's Warrior are going to go at each other. Dennis is right. Cattle River probably isn't going to have enough speed to keep up with them. Dream Shake has tactical speed, but in this race doesn't have to use it. So he can get put in a position, and Flavien Prat is very tactical, so he's not going to go up there and kill Dream Shake if he doesn't have to. Unfortunately, the Woody Stevens is a race which usually has a large field where you can get a big bomb in. The most recent example of that was Hog Creek Hustle in 2019. Unfortunately, this year does not have a big long shot horse that I feel comfortable enough can benefit from an absolute pace meltdown. Even though they're going to go supersonic, I'm still going to go with Jackie's Warrior just because I think he is too much of a fighter to be able to lose in this race, even if they do go sub 20, which I think is definitely possible.
Hey, Jack, let me ask a question. This might sound insane, especially on the podcast here, but can the 2 outbreak the 3?
I think it's impossible.
Because if the 2 outbreaks the 3, I know the 3s came off the pace before and past horses. I don't think he likes to do that, and if that happens, it could get very interesting, I think. Even though the 3 does look, I mean, more I talk. The 3 just does look really impressive here, but I don't think he's unbeatable. But if you had to single in this pick 5, pick 4 sequence, that would probably be the horse to single.
Yeah, I'm going to try and beat the 2 horses in here. I think they'll run well, and they'll probably hold on and run 1, 2, the 2 and the 3, whatever order that's in. I'm going to try and beat them with Caddo River, just hoping that they burn themselves out, but it's really just a hope. I don't even know if I'm going to use Caddo River in the pick 5 yet. I might use Drain the Clock and Jackie's Warrior in the pick 5, and then use the other horses in kind of a backup daily double, because everybody's going to be single. A lot of people might be singling horses in the double, so I think that could be an interesting angle to play in here. But yeah, I think the Ass Man horse is a freak, and I'm just going to try. I'm going to try with the 6, because if you don't try, you don't win. Race number 4. Race number 4, named after, and I'm a Staten Islander, so get ready for this. Named after the best borough in New York City, the Brooklyn Handicap, at 1.5 miles. An absolutely fantastic race with some horses that love going this 12 furlong distance. And man, am I ever going to have a sane head again and not pick Rocketry? Well, I'm going to pick Rocketry. I like Rocketry. I love Rocketry. He's my man.
I like Rocketry too, but I have a rule with myself with Rocketry is that he only wins Breeders' Cup, what the race was formerly called the Breeders' Cup Marathon, now the Marathon Stakes, but he only wins those races. So while I do agree with Andrew, I do have some fond feelings for Rocketry myself, having picked him on that in that Marathon Stakes last year. I had to look elsewhere because my rule, my book, he doesn't win races that aren't Breeders' Cup marathons. So I went to Rise the Guy, the runner-up in the Isaac Murphy Marathon at Churchill Downs. He won that race last year. He did not run good in the marathon against Rocketry last time, but I got two good runs and one run, so I'm going to take my chances with him at a price.
This race,
You know,
really interesting.
fun story. Fun story really quick too about Rocketry. Dad works backside at Churchill. Um, so the year that he won the Breeders' Cup Marathon at Churchill, that horse was stabled in my dad's trainer's barn. He works with Neil Howard. So those horses, and he's actually a really, really massive horse up close and personal. So just fun fact.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. But also another thing, the thing that's interesting in this race is you have a lot of former claimers. I feel like in this race, which is pretty cool. Like I remember Musical Heart. I remember when he was in that Saratoga claiming race last year. But for me in this race, probably gonna go towards the 9 Lone Rock. This horse just keeps getting better and better. The more times he runs at a mile and a half, he seems to keep getting better. I really liked his run last time, won by 3 3/4 lengths. Ramon Basses is shipping in to ride this horse. I think 9-2 is good value on this 9.
I mean, you got a trainer that's pretty much like guaranteed to be a juicer, so that's always a good
Really
thing
quick
if you
though,
want the horse to win.
really quick, my play in this race. I would take the 6 Moretti, but the layoff concerns me. Castellano not getting on concerns me. How about the California shipper, Tis Magician? I don't really like taking Cali shippers. People who know me know that I hate California racing with a burning passion. But this horse is starting to find his rhythm. He's starting to find his groove. So that's what I'm going to go with here is Tis Magician.
Yeah, I don't know. That race last time was really, really, really slow. Absolutely. I mean, I know he won by a lot, but I don't know. I don't like it either. I don't like the California horses coming. I don't like California racing, of course. Being a New Yorker, I think this race is 4, 5, 6, 7 in some way. Any of those, kind of the low to middle range prices. I don't know.
You
Maybe
don't
I'll
think the
box
9?
all 4 of them. No,
You
I
don't
don't
think the
like the
9
nine.
has?
I don't like the 9 much.
Why?
He's never run at Belmont, and I think running at Belmont is a big thing, especially going long. I want horses that know the surface. Look at Moretti. Look at what he's done at Belmont. He gets the lead in here. He's not going to want to give it up. He loves this track, and he loves running wire to wire on it.
Can I also say, too, I didn't know the 9 was in this race. Yeah, I guess I might just take a 8-9 with bunch in here. Take Rocketry, take Rise the Guy for second, Moretti, and Ashweed for second as well. So, but that's what I think I'm gonna do. I had no idea the 9 was in this race.
All right, so that is the mile and a half Brooklyn Handicap. Let's move on to the 5th race. That is a race that almost every year I can't stand because I can't seem to pick the winner in this race. But this year I'm probably picking the even money favorite, so maybe I will win this time. It's the Acorn, and search results should be tough for my main asshole friend, Chad Brown.
Yeah, I agree. I think search results is probably just better than is in my opinion better than everybody in this race. That last race, I did for a second I was concerned that Malathat was not going to go by, and Malathat is just a special filly. The search results, she's really good too, and I just think she with no Malathat, I think she's going to win. That's how I see this race.
That's exactly why I picked search results. Although I will mention there are good horses in here if you're looking to beat the favorite. Day Out of the Office, second back off the layoff, over a track that she is a Grade 1 winner at, is definitely something that was difficult for me to overlook. But I just respect Malathot so much, and that respect goes to search results because search results ran such a good race behind her. But I will say Day Out of the Office is probably the best horse to try to beat the even money favorite with, because, as I mentioned, Grade 1 winner at Belmont, and this would be her second back off the layoff. And I don't think that she's going to get as killed on the front end as she did in the 8 bells.
I agree that search results is this race should be tough because no Malathought. I know y'all have echoed that, and I'm echoing it as well. The horse I think could beat her. Now, I get that Day Out of the Office is a great horse. Wish Gerardo Corrales was here riding this horse. He deserves a chance like this. I wish Junior Alvarado was back on this horse. He fits well with this horse. Travel Column, I don't know what she is. I don't know. She's going to go out and press the pace as well. How about the 3 as well, too, will press the pace. All right, that's the speed in this race. There's 4 speed horses in here. Maybe 5. And there's 1 closer. Obligatory for Belmont. Close down at Got Day of the Office on Oaks Day in the 8 bells. Not saying she's a better horse, because she does need a trip. She needs them to go the same pace of the 8 bells. Maybe a little bit slower because of 45, because it's going to be a mile. But 44, 45 range, and this horse might actually pick them all off again.
I'm actually concerned of the opposite scenario in here. I'm concerned a little bit that Miss Brazil could maybe wire this race. And the reason I say that is, yeah, there's a lot of speed horses in here. New York, that doesn't matter. Doesn't mean anything. Because nobody wants to go in New York. It's just the way it is. You got Florent Giroux in here. You got Tyler Gaffleone. Those are the only 2 out-of-town guys. I don't know. I don't see why they are gonna be totally aggressive. Then again, Castellano has not been giving great rides lately, in my opinion. But if he has any brain here, I think you send this horse, and maybe nobody else sends after her. But that would be my only concern to beat the 6, is Miss Brazil wiring the field. I'm not in love with obligatory. Although she did run good. She ran good to run down, but that was a freaking fast pace. And as Dennis said, you're going to need a really fast pace here again. Also, if the track is still drying out, speed favoring racetrack. Belmont happens all the time. All the time. 6 furlongs on the inner is the distance of race number 6, the Grade 1 Jaipur, a race that I have a pretty good history with. But this year, not so much. I'm going to try and see if this race could maybe fall apart for Sambaye on the outside. I know, freaking West Coast horse. I hate it. But I had to find somebody. And honestly, I don't really like many horses in here. It's a big field of kind of horses that seem like they can all beat each other. Maybe there's some speed. This race has fallen apart in the past. Maybe it doesn't. What do you guys think's going to happen?
For me in this race, really quick too, since I work at Churchill, got there early some days because of my ride situation. Anyways, so there's this horse Fast Boat that works. He works out on April 26th. I'm up there. And he goes 4 furlongs in 49. His final 3 furlongs was 34 and 3. They posted 34 and 3 work. Well, I see 34 and 3 and I see money. That was the horse I liked all week at Churchill. He does exactly what he was supposed to do. Angle out off the turn, 5 wide, and takes off like a fast boat. Now, works 35 at the training track, 47, still doing the same thing. And you're going to give me more odds on a horse that I already like. And I ride comes back aboard for Joe Sharp, who does not team up too often. I'll take Fast Boat again at 5-1.
In this race, there's a lot. The thing about this race is I just feel like there's so much lack of speed, and if Bound for Nowhere just goes to the lead, which he didn't do last time. He's a horse that can do either. But what's weird about him is he never, the lap in between his races, April, July, then March, then October, then June, going back to like his 2018 PPs are still on here. But if he just goes right back to lead, the lack of speed is just not really there. And the thing about Fast Boat for me is he just doesn't seem to like Belmont too much from what I've seen so far in his career. Maybe that'll change in this race. We'll have to see.
The gap in efforts in the runs for Bound for Nowhere have been because of injuries, so that's not really something that concerns me too much. The good thing to say about Bound for Nowhere is Wesley Ward was going to send him overseas to Royal Ascot, and he called the last-minute audible because he thinks this horse has a really, really good chance to win a Grade 1 in the United States, and that definitely says a lot about Bound for Nowhere. That being said, I just said a bunch of good things about him. I'm not going to pick him. The horse I'm picking is a horse shipping in from the West Coast for Phil D'Amato, coming out of 3 straight stakes wins, or 3 straight wins, 2 of those being stakes, and one of them was the Grade 3 San Simeon. This horse, since his 11th place finish in the Hollywood Turf Cup that was going obviously way too long, has been obviously really good with those 3 races. He's 10-1 on the morning line, so I'm going to get a good price on him. I think the money's going to flow, obviously, into Wesley Ward's horse, but Got Stormy takes undeserved money in every race she's in. I think that's going to start to lessen out as she starts to lose races, but I think at this point she will still take some money. Could be rather low on the odds board, much lower than she should be. That was the angle that I saw, though, with Gregorian Chant, although Bound for Nowhere is going to be really good. And Sammy is right. You rarely say this about turf sprints in the United States, but you got to look really hard for the speed in here because there are not too many horses that want the lead in this race, which is really weird to say about an American turf sprint.
Yeah, I hear you guys, and the speed is not that present on paper. But for some reason in the Jaipur, the pace tends to be faster. I don't know what it is. I'm a little disappointed that this race is not on the Widener, where they've been running it lately, except for last year. For this year, for some reason, they're running it on the inner turf. So that's usually the paces tend to be a little slower. Although in the turf sprint, we don't know. But the turn is obviously tighter on the inner just a little bit, even though it's still the 3rd biggest track in America, that inner turf course, besides Colonial Downs. I'm just hoping that maybe they battle it a bit up front, maybe Bound for Nowhere and Got Stormy duke it out a little bit. And I don't think Sambayé's that bad anyway to sit. And this horse doesn't have to be far off either. This horse could be fairly close. I know he's going to lose a little bit of ground on the turn, but again, we'll have a clear run. Shouldn't get into that much trouble. And I like Flavian Pratt riding a sprint race at Belmont much more than riding a 2-turn route race at Belmont instead. So I will go with Sambayé in the Jaipur. Race number 7 is another. Oh, it's a 7-horse field. I thought it was a 6-horse field. Some really accomplished ones in here. It's the Ogden Phipps for the older fillies and mares. Obviously, Swiss Skydivers in here. Valiance is in here. Latruska. Really good field. That She Dares the Devil horse that upset the Kentucky Oaks and now has turned into the second coming of St. Paul. What's going on in here, guys? Where'd you land?
You mean a Monomoy girl, but that's okay.
I guess I'll go. This race, I think I'm more right now looking towards 2 horses, but I still haven't really handicapped it too deep. But She Dares the Devil, who's really turned into a nice horse. She already was a nice horse, but she's really kicked on in her 4-year-old season. But Valiance, this horse, she's really good. First time at Belmont, but she's been working lights out here. Top Lecture, they thought, well, I don't get them wrong, but she's still a good turf horse. But they were running on the turf, but ever since she came on that dirt, We saw that race on May 16th, which was on off track. Wasn't really her day. But when she went back on the third on that Monmouth race off the turf, she just really kicked on and is really a nice horse, and she just keeps getting better and better off the layoff. But I'm not concerned.
I am very unfortunately going to have to go away from Swiss Skydiver at this point. She is too inconsistent to be able to trust in this race. But there's one thing about this particular race that is going to be a little bit concerning, is the fact that I don't know what the particular setup of the race is going to be. Because if we go back to the Apple Blossom at Oakland, which you can basically sub out Monomoy Girl for She Dares a Devil in there, and you have Latruska, Swiss Skydiver, two horses that faced each other, and then Swiss Skydiver, for the purpose of this comparison, serves the purpose of Monomoy Girl as a horse who's going to be relatively close to the lead, if not she wants to be on the lead. If not, she's going to be very close to it. So you have three horses in this race that really want to be close to the lead. They didn't go at each other too much in the Apple Blossom, so they were kind to each other there, but you could see a potential where this race could blow up with a ton of speed in there. That being said, I'm going to bite the bullet on the potential of a pace duel in here and go with Latruska, who has been so good since she won the Houston Ladies Classic earlier. And she was a good grade 2, grade 3 horse last year, but she just has improved since she came into this country at the end of 2019 and has obviously developed into a grade 1 horse. She did lose the Azeri to Swiss Skydiver, or excuse me, not Swiss Skydiver, She Dares a Devil, but that was a race where Joel Rosario took her off the pace. I wasn't a big fan of his decision to take her back in that race, and I think that's what cost her. She still rallied and only lost by a short head. Back class in that race is terrific. Get rid of what ails you is a very consistent horse, and Envoûtant just won the Shawnee Stakes at Churchill Downs, so we know that she'd be good horses in behind her. And at the end of the day, I think Swiss Skydiver has started to fall off a little, and I'm not convinced that She Dares a Devil is better than Latruska. So I did select Latruska in here, although I will mention, if this race does blow up pace-wise, look to Bonnie South, because she could pick up the pieces if it does blow up.
Okay, let's play a game here. Who's a better jockey, Robbie Alvarado or Jose Ortiz?
Jose Ortiz.
Exactly. Here's another game for you. How many wins has Jose Ortiz had in 9 months? Can't count.
A bajillion.
How many wins has Robbie Alvarado had since the Preakness? 9 months.
5.
One.
Three.
One.
This Swiss Skydiver has been cursed by the human anchor and now gets the best jockey in almost the country. This horse has not fallen off. This horse has been cursed. As she gets Ortiz, I expect a huge run from her, but let's say she did fall off. I think Latruska is going to bounce off that huge effort, and I think She Dares the Devil is the next coming of Monomoy Girl. So I'm going to take Swiss Devil exact on top, and then underneath Latruska, and like Jack said, Bonnie South. I think that if this race does melt down, I think she could pick up the pieces for something underneath. And I do not want Valiance at all. Honestly, I really don't.
I will say, if Valiance had a start underneath her, I would be a lot higher on her. I just can't take a horse off of that layoff.
Anybody besides me like Water White to hit the board in here? Because I think she can.
I mean, she could be another one if they kill each other on the front end. Then you could see her come in.
Yeah, that's more of a hoping thing. But I think my key play in here is going to try and get Water White into the exact and into the triple with some of the other logical horses. Just because I think she overachieves. She runs better than what she really should.
The more I look at that horse, it's not impossible. That horse is not impossible. It has to be, I think, one of those 3 major horses in order to get on the board, which, let's say one of them blows up, or let's say Swiss is done, or let's say Monomoy or Latruska bounces. Well, then you can get the 6 on the board, which is not impossible at all, I don't think, here. So that's a good catch by you, Andrew.
Thank you. And we will now move on to race number 8, which is a race that I have had some success in over the years and then have absolutely failed miserably in over the years, too. There's 4 Chad Browns in here. I think he's won 4 straight of these, and I think he won 2 more before that. Besides Celestine for Belmont, who I had in 2016, was the one who broke that stuff. Whatever. The point is, he's great in the race. He's got 4 in here. To me, this race, it's Chad, and just use the 4 Chads, and I think you'll be all right.
There's one particular Chad, at least for me, in this race, and I'm going to actually give the credit to this one to my co-host over on Racing Rundown. He identified this horse coming into the United States for Chad Brown. This horse won at Keeneland very impressively in her first career start in the United States. That was first off the plane. She won a 1 1/16 allowance race at Keeneland, barely being asked. Irad Ortiz asked her just as she was passing most of the horses at the end of the stretch in that race. I encourage anyone who hasn't seen that race to go take a look at the replay because it was really good. And my rule of thumb is when they win first off the plane, and especially if a horse wins first off the plane the way that Pocket Square did, then they're good horses. She didn't run bad overseas in the United Kingdom and Ireland. So for me, this race was not really that hard because I think Pocket Square is a really solid horse, and my co-host guaranteed that she would win the filly and mare turf out at Del Mar this year. So he said that this was the easiest race for him this weekend, and he kind of put some of that confidence in Pocket Square onto me.
Kind of agree with Jack. What Jack said. We were talking about this race earlier, and I watched that replay. It was very impressive. Off the layoff, and I ran into the stretch, gave her that nudge, and he didn't really ask her with the whip. He just kind of showed her it, and she really kicked on. And if you're gonna get 5-1 on this horse, and that's just a gift right there. Which you probably are, because people are gonna look at Blowout and like that horse. But Pocket Square, she's a nice horse. I'll say that.
I can't remember now if it was... Yeah, it was the first race today. You said Wesley Ward uncoupled entry, right, Andrew?
Well, I wanted that, but he's not there at all.
Oh. How about a Charles Appleby Godolphin uncoupled entry?
See, that's the same owners. That shouldn't even be allowed. That's an absolute disservice to gamblers. Horses with the same owners are allowed to be coupled. That's a joke.
Can I interrupt you guys for a second?
Yep.
Churchill just suspended Bob Baffert officially now for 2 years. So
wow.
Great.
Wow.
Way to throw your dick out on the table, Churchill. Yes. Nice.
2 years.
Anyways, what I was going to say, though, is and Mike Smith only has 2 mounts. One's an allowance race, and then there's this Grade 1 $500,000 race, and that's what he's here for. A horse he's never rode before, for a trainer overseas. This horse has to be something. Got beat by the coupled horse, Summer Romance. Got beat by that horse last time out, but also beat Summer Romance the time before that. I really think that this 8 might be sneaky. I like what you said, Jack, with Pocket Square. And that's the same reason I like the Chad Brown horse on Friday. This is a tough race. I could see about 6 horses winning this race because of the unknown factor of European shipping over, this, that, and the other. Chad Browns, like you said, Andrew. This is a wide open race.
I will add one more point to boost what Dennis said about the 8, the Mike Smith ridden Charlie Appleby horse. Summer Romance is a horse who wants to be closer to the lead. That's the way she won her most recent race at Maidan. Blowout is another horse we know she's going to be close to the front. That's how she won the Distaff Turf Mile. So this is a race that they could blow up. You like horses that are going to be coming from behind in there. That's a reason why. That's another reason that strengthens Pocket Square. But that certainly does help. You could look at it that possibly Summer Romance is a rabbit. I don't want to throw that out there because that could be controversial. But it would help her if Summer Romance and Blowout decide to take each other out on the front end.
I'm going to just say it one more time. This is an absolute freaking joke. There should never be a case where two horses with the same owners are uncoupled in the betting. I know people have wanted it so they can express their opinion on the different horses. It's not right. It's just not right. It was the same way for years and years and years. It's too confusing now. Because it's just like when Chad Brown's allowed to have four horses in the same race. If you like one Chad Brown, chances are you got to use all of them. Now you have to use another horse when you shouldn't have to use another horse. Because they're not only the same owner, but the same trainer too. To me, it's just a total joke. I've always been a fan of coupling with the same owners. And the fact that they've taken that away in the last, I think it was 7 or 8 years ago, they took that away in stakes races or something. Because in regular races, you still have to do it. I just don't like it at all. To me, it's another thing you just have to worry about as a handicapper. And the last thing we handicappers need, to me, is other things to worry about. That opinion could be very controversial. It's also very controversial that I don't think a trainer should be allowed to have more than two horses in the same race. There's 4 Chads in here. Come on. I get the guy's a great trainer. I get the guy gets good horses. It's too confusing. It's a handicapping puzzle. We have to think about people being honest. It's a joke. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you guys disagree too, but I just need to go on that little tirade right there. Because I can't stand it anymore.
Well, that's
if it makes
another.
you feel better. Oh, sorry. If it makes you feel better, it could get whittled down to 3 because Regal Glory does look like the Intercontinental will be the race she goes in, but still 3 Chad horses. You have a point.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's okay. I was about ready to say, because I was going to say too, if you said the Charles Appleby Godolphin, you could also say the Chad Brown Peter Brandt with blowout.
He's got 2 as well. Yep, same thing. Same thing.
Yep, that's not right. And that's the thing is, I know that a lot of people say, well, if they're 1A and 1X and 1 whatever, doesn't that hurt your odds? Yes, it does, but it makes it at least fair. It's at least fair. You don't have to say, yeah, I like this Chad Brown who's 5-2, but the horse that's 8-1, he's going to probably want him to win more because of this, that, and the other. Oh, you're absolutely right. And I wish coupled entries was
and they're supposed to run honest, especially in these big races. They're supposed to run honest all the time, but especially in these big races, they're supposed to run honest.
I'm not worried about the Charles Appleby running honest because European, they normally just care about the purse anyways, but you know, the Chad Brown stuff, the top plus, all that, yeah, that they probably are more worried about the betting side.
Okay, race number 9 is the Met Mile, the Metropolitan Handicap, if you want to properly call it. Another great race every year. This year the field's not terrific. I don't really care that it's only 6 horses. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that at all. But the field is not that extraordinary. I would think Nick's Go is going to be a pretty sizable favorite in here. But the question is, does the trip over, I would say probably a third of the way, maybe not halfway, but a third of the way across the world, and where he did not win, does that hurt him?
I don't know that it hurts him. I've just always thought that Nick's Go was a bit of a, I don't want to say fool's gold horse, but I think Nick's Go got a little bit too much credit for what he was able to do. That Pegasus World Cup Dirt that he won, absolutely atrocious race. The race has not come out very strong. I don't have the exact statistics on it, but there have been countless horses from that race that have come back and just completely sucked. The Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile wasn't really that strong of a race either. And, you know, you're tacking on 2 relatively weak grade 1 wins and an allowance win where, you know, it's an allowance. Yeah, he won by open lengths. His 2 best races have come at Keeneland. He is not running at Keeneland. And this may be a hot take. This may be me just trying to grasp at straws. I don't think it is, but you could certainly see it that way. But I think Nick's Go is very beatable. And I think he is I use the term a lot. I think he's a fool's gold horse.
To me, I probably won't be picking Nick's Go. The horses that I am very interested in is Mischievous Alex and Silver State. I don't know what it is, but Ricardo and Steve Atherton, when they have that good horse, they usually win it. This race, And this Silver State, when he got that break from that Louisiana Derby, he just turned into a different horse. Won by 7, then won by 2, and he's just been getting better by every start. Now it is. And Mischievous Alex, I don't know what Sappy did to that horse, but man, did he turn him into a monster. Won the Carter very impressively. Those are the two I'd be looking at, and another horse that. The horse I feel really confident will run fourth in this race. It just seems like the horse will run fourth is by my standards. I don't know why, but I think that horse probably gonna run fourth. And 10-1's a little bit of an overlay, but that's a value pick there.
That's a great segue, Sammy, for me. So Brett Calhoun, being a Texas guy, being the same thing like Asmussen, Texas person, entered this horse into the Sexton Mile on Monday and scratched. And thankfully he did because it was a monsoon. Horses was slipping and sliding everywhere, basically. CC Rocket nearly took out David Cabrera's horse, Uncle Burn Love. I don't think the horse likes to slop, too. And you get that with the fact of, I guess it didn't dodge a bullet in the way because none of the favorites ran in that race really good at all. But they decided to go here for $1 million. This horse must be training really phenomenal. And I also like Silver State. Just finding his stride. That horse off the layoff from March to October has turned into a different animal. So I think I'm going to take those two on top and hopefully beat Nick's Go. I don't know what to do with Mischievous Alex. I'll probably use all these horses underneath. Besides, I mean, heck, I might as well throw in Lexingtonian. I mean, if he just pops one time, he could get me. So yeah, I think I might just take 3-5 with all for an exacta, and hope by my standards is 10-1.
Going with Mischievous Alex in this race. I went on my whole tirade about Nick's Go, and I did not get my pick for this race. Mischievous Alex is a graded stakes winner at at a 1-turn mile, and that was in the Gotham last winter at Aqueduct. And since then, this horse runs his race when he's running at 2 turns. He won the Swale at Gulfstream this year. Couple stakes wins, including the Grade 1 Carter. Already has experience over a 1-turn mile. Didn't run bad in the Alan Jerkins, a race where it kind of blew up on the front end. So he's not a bad horse. The one race that is very puzzling is the Woody Stevens, because that's the one race where you can't find a good excuse for him. But at the end of the day, I think that he has the best experience over this type of track condition, 1-turn mile. And I think he's just bounced into a really, really good horse at 4. So he's going to be my top pick in this race.
My top pick in this race is going to be the one horse that was not mentioned at all by any of you, and that is number 2, Dr. Post. If you look at the past performances, this horse is the only horse this year that has run at Belmont Park. And I think that's important. You get the home team, you get Pletcher, you get Velasquez, and I think you might get higher than that 9-2 price tag. And if this gets a little heated on top, this is a scenario where Johnny's been very aggressive this meet. I think this is a scenario where he's smart enough to sit a little bit back and maybe come with one run late to close down this field. We've seen Met Miles collapse plenty of times before, and it doesn't need to have a big field to collapse either. The other thing that jumps off the page to me, and I didn't even see this before this video, look at Silver State. I mean, if that horse is not a lesser version of Matoli in the flesh, I don't know what is. He's got the same winning streak coming into the Met Mile. He's got 5 straight wins coming in. He's got Santana. He's got Asmussen. He's the number 3. And he's 7-2, which is exactly what Matoli was. I mean, if you'd covered up the races, the fractions, and all that other important stuff, and just left the trainer, the jockey, the number, the morning line, and the finish, this horse looks like freaking Matoli. It's unbelievable how much this horse looks like Matoli. Now, I'm not saying he's as good. I'm not saying he's as good, because he's not. But isn't that a little interesting? I mean, literally, all those factors are exactly the same. And I'm not one who's superstitious, But that just freaked me out a little bit. I'm going to try and go 2-3 in here. I'm going to try and stay away from the horse coming back from Saudi. Mischievous Alex, honestly, I'm more scared of just because of the giant figure last time at Aqueduct and the Carter. That was a really impressive race. I didn't like him in that race either, and he totally proved me wrong. So I honestly, it should really be 1, 2, 3 in here, but none of those exactors are going to pay that much. I'm going to have to try and figure out a different way to make money in here, and maybe I'll post that on Saturday along with my selections for this race.
That's a good point, by the way, Andrew, here with Asmussen. He has pointed his top prospects for the Met Mile over the past 3 years. He's won it twice with B Jersey and Matole, like you said. And this is definitely Asmussen's best horse in the barn. So yeah, that was a good. I never thought about Asmussen and Met Mile and how he always points to this race. So that's good fact knowledge there, Andrew.
Honestly, it was the 3, the 7-2, and the 5 straight wins that made me think, oh my God, that's exactly what Matoli had coming into the Met Mile. The only difference is this horse is cutting back, which I like even better than Matoli stretching out. I still think Dr. Post will be a bigger price, and that's why I'll put him on top instead. Race number 10 is my favorite turf race every year. It is the Manhattan Handicap going 1.25 miles on the inner turf. And boy, Chad Brown is back, and he is back with a freaking vengeance. Christophe Clement has 2 horses in here. Obviously, the big story is going to be Colonel Liam and Domestic Spending because of what happened down at Churchill. I definitely think they're the 2 best horses in here, and I'm probably going to play heavy doubles with them into the horses I like in the Belmont Stakes, which is the 11th race. But on top, I'm probably going Gufo. I freaking love Gufo. Look at that record. Second, third, first, second, first, third. This guy loves to be up there. And to me, that's important. Rosario did not give a good ride in this race 2 years ago. I take that back. I'm sorry. He did give a good ride 2 years ago on Channel Maker. He did everything he could, but the 3 Chad Browns just ran him down. I have no qualms about Rosario in this race, specifically because he's going to be on the outside, so I think there's less of a chance for him to get in trouble in here. He's still Rosario, though, so he still can get in trouble. But we'll see what happens. I love Gufo, and as much as I love the uncoupled entry angle, I certainly think he's the more dangerous of the 2 Clement horses.
I love this race, as Andrew, I will echo what Andrew said. I have a lot to say about it also, so bear with me. To strengthen Andrew's point with Gufo, 2 of his losses last year, Hollywood Derby, Saratoga Derby, were both going distances that he does not want to go. This horse needs 1.25 miles and upward. Any shorter than 1.25 miles, can't take him in. So definitely like him getting out to 10 furlongs. There are 4 Chad Brown horses in here. There are only 2 that I will take seriously. Rock Emperor could be the longest priced Chad Brown horse in this race. I'm telling every person this now because I know that there are going to be people out there. Do yourself a favor and do not play Rock Emperor. Rock Emperor does not like to win races, and he's doing that in levels that are not very strong, and this is a race that could be the Breeders' Cup turf. These horses are really, really strong, specifically the 3 or 4-year-olds in here, Colonel Liam, Gufo, and Domestic Spending. So if you're going for a Chad horse, or you're trying to go beat probably the shortest price Chad Brown horse, Domestic Spending, do not go with Rock Emperor. Also, Tribavin, who is coming out of a win in the Fort Marcy. He could potentially be a horse that Chad Brown uses as a rabbit. Again, I don't want to guarantee that that's going to happen, but he won the Fort Marcy lone on the lead. And there's not necessarily a ton of speed signed on in here. You do have Channel Cat, though, and I'm sure Chad saw what Channel Cat did to Gufo. Domestic Spending, a horse that is going to be running in mid-pack. You could see Tribavin being used as a rabbit in there to get Channel Cat out of there. At the end of the day, this race came down to who do I think is the best at the 1.25 miles. And I think of the 2 between Gufo and Domestic Spending, I think it's Domestic Spending. And not that I said a bunch of good things about Gufo. I think Gufo is a really strong horse, but The problem that I have with him is that he finds a way to lose every single race. He loses it very narrowly. And I did say that he needs 1.25 miles and upwards. But I think domestic spending is just a tad better than him at 1.25 miles. If we get to 1.5 miles, that's a completely different story. I'd be all on Gufo in here. But I have to go with domestic spending. It is going to be very dangerous to go with the favorite in here because I do think he is vulnerable. I do think Gufo is possibly on the same level as him, if not better. But at the end of the day, I'm going to take my chances and say that domestic spending is the best of these three, Colonel Liam, Gufo, and himself, obviously, at 1.25 miles. I don't like any of the other Chad horses in here. If you're looking for your other Chad angle, Masterpiece is the horse to go with. Don't go with Rock Emperor. Trivavin could be used as a rabbit. So, and aside from that, outside of those three, I don't know who you're going to win this race with.
All right, you all ready for something out in left field?
Absolutely. I hope it's what I'm thinking about.
Bye-bye, Melvin.
Yes, Graham Motion. There he is. Graham freaking Motion. I knew it.
Okay. The 1, I don't like. The 3, The 4, yeah, that's my second pick here. Masterpiece, no, I don't want that horse. He ran in the grade 1 last year, and then Chad didn't know what to do with him, so he let him off. Rock Emperor, Jack said that. Channel Cat, look, he's won 1 race in forever. No, thank you. Trivavin, whatever. No, not horrible. I like the horse better than the 6 or the 5, but no, I still pass on him. Gufo might be too far back, and Colonel Liam, I think his peak is starting to run out. I don't think he's actually. I think he's starting to go on a downhill. But you got a horse that's consistent. It's consistently 4th, 2nd, 3rd, 2nd, 1st, 2nd. And 30-1 Junior Alvarado, and like you said, Motion. I think this horse might be sneaky. Now, it's not, the class needs to definitely increase, but the last time that this horse ran, speed figure wise, and I know that Jack said that he doesn't like speed figures, and I don't blame him, but had the same speed figure as domestic spending in Colonel Liam. And before the Man of War, had the same one as Gufo. So, not impossible for this horse to run at 30-1.
Certainly not impossible. I've just been singing the tune that the races like the Manhattan and the grade 1s at Saratoga are going to be some of the best races of the year. And I think that all 3 of these 4-year-olds are going to be really, really, I think that they're the best turf horses in the United States. 1, 2, 3. We can debate which ones are the best, but I think that these 3 are all really, really good. But it's not impossible for something like that to happen. But again, Dennis alluded to it. I'm not a speed figure person. If you are, that's a very good angle, though. And he is going to be a very nice price because all the money's going to flow into those horses that I mentioned.
I agree with Jack on the 3, 4-year-olds. They're really good, all of them. We'll have to see what happens in this race. All right.
Well, let's just say right here. I took a quick peek at this horse before. I might put this horse on top now. I'm just saying. I mean, it's worked for me in the past. My biggest score ever. Spring quality. That's all I have to say. Spring quality. And this horse might get a very similar trip to that. Except that he's going to be down on the inside and from the start, whereas Prado had to get him down to the inside for his rally. This horse will also be a bigger price than Spring Quality, and probably an even bigger price than Ascend, who was Graham Motion's upset winner of the Manhattan Handicap in 2017. He was closer to the front. Spring Quality almost nearly came from last. So we'll see what happens here, but you're absolutely right. I mean, Gufo's going to be 5-1. This horse is going to be 30-1. I think I might need to put the 2 on top of here. Thanks for pointing that out, because I didn't look at him that seriously. But, I mean, I have to, right? It's the biggest score of all time for me. Have to look at it closely. All right. Race number 11 is an allowance race, going 1.5 miles on the main track. Nah. I don't love
And a
these.
lot of
I don't love this group of horses, but I guess they're okay. It's the Belmont Stakes, biggest race of the year. Usually my favorite race of the year. We already talked about our picks in the big video. Me, Sammy, and Jack. I'm going 1, 2, 7, 6 in here, trying for the upset with Bourbonic, and then Essential Quality, the favorite, the Speed, Rock Your World, and then Known Agenda, the shortest Pletcher. Sammy, you want to recap what you're doing in here?
I'm going 7, 2, 4, and 6. I'll be right back in like 5 minutes if that's okay.
Okay, Jack, you want to recap your Belmont picks?
Yeah, I just picked Essential Quality on top. I think that this is the race where you can go with the favorite. And for second, I'm going with the longest, or second longest price in the morning line. Definitely the longest price, Todd Pletcher horse. Excuse me, I've got to get Chad Brown out of my head. Second or longest priced Pletcher horse in the race overtook for second. No other reason other than he seems like he could get the mile and a half better than some of the other horses in here. And then also longest price Pletcher horse, you got to have Pletcher in the Belmont somewhere. And then for third, Hot Rod Charlie, because Hot Rod Charlie is very consistent and he is a fighter in races. So that's my top three in the Belmont.
Dennis, the floor is yours. You weren't in the other video. It is time to lay out your ideas.
All right, this horse reminds me of another Pletcher horse, also owned partly by St. Elias Stables, that started blossoming. I mean, you know, in it started happening a little bit later than the Belmont, obviously, but kind of think this horse reminds me of Vino Rosso. Known Agenda had a nightmare in the Derby on the rail. Went from literally fourth to last in the first, furlong. Then he got shut off, and then he came out. Then he got shut off again. Then he came out and passed 3 horses late. I know that the Belmont normally has speed horses. Instead, I think that Known Agenda, though, is going to love this mile and a half, and I think he's the perfect Belmont horse. Now, Central Quality, he's going to be tough to beat as always. He's probably the best 3-year-old in the whole division. Derby, I don't take nothing away from him. He went 5 wide, got smashed at the start. But he's going to be the one to beat. Ron Bauer, great story. No, thank you. Very, what horse racing needed when it was down to the most, when Bobby the Juicer, Tough Luck Bob, dope Medina Spirit. So that was great to see. Hot Rod Charlie, I don't like. I used him in the Derby just because, but I don't like him. And Rock Your World is a turf horse. So that kind of knocks me down to Known Agenda in Essential Quality, and I went with the bigger price of Known Agenda. But it should be a fun race. It's not really this is not the best Belmont field that they've ever had, because I think the Belmont's the best of the Triple Crown races. I know that made Andrew light up right there. Because in the Derby, you can throw out at least half the field, if not 75% of the field. The Preakness, the last horse to lose the Derby and win the Preakness and win the Traverse was back in 2008, and none of them hit the board since, so the Preakness is an awful race. The Belmont is always normally the more consistently churning out top horses at the end of the year. I don't know if it's this year, but with the Central Quality, maybe Ron Bauer still, maybe, because he did run a very good race that shows he's improving. And Known Agenda, and maybe in the turf division, Rock Your World might become very prevalent down Breeders' Cup Lane, but I'm going with Known Agenda here. I hope that sums that up very, very much so, because I kind of rambled there.
You did a great job, honestly. Thought you did a great job. So that is the Belmont Stakes, race number 11. Race number 12, let's get back to normalcy here. And we're going to get on the good old Widener turf course, going a mile. I'm surprised that they didn't make the mile and an eighth race on the end of the race after the Belmont as they usually do. But it's better we actually have two turf races to close it out. I'm always a fan of more turf racing. What do you guys like here? I'm going on the Clement and Dock train just because I didn't really see anybody else. I guess Mott's horse is good, the 3 horse, but I
The
don't really
horse
love
I kind of
anybody.
like in this race is the Clement 8-1 horse. Flavian Pratt getting on the horse is really I like a lot, and 8-1's a good price, and I think this horse can run well in this race.
I'm gonna echo what Sammy said. Power picks to 9 is first. This horse should not be 8-1. If this horse is 8-1, and you hit one of the last 4 races with a bomb, you might want to throw some money on that Clement horse there if he's 8-1, because there's no way that he's gonna be 8-1. Um, but it's this race is a good palate cleanser after all those stakes races. Um, I think too that the mod horse might be interesting. I'm not sure what to do with him at 7-2, but yeah, I kind of like the Clement horse. Jack, anything from you?
No,
Uh,
not particularly. I don't have anything in this race.
okay, well then, race number 13, the last mile and an eighth on the inner turf. We got the Klarovich entry down on the inside, an actual entry for a change. Um, I like microsecond to wire the field for Todd Pletcher.
For me, I'm probably going to go towards the 2 Hard Luck, who actually was my pick for the Pennine Ridge before. I think he was a one-line favorite, if I'm correct. But this horse, I just think he's on the rise for Jonathan Thomas. I think he'll be a player in those later races. The Belmont Derby potentially wins this race, but he's facing Olders, I believe, here. And he's a nice horse. He came out the layoff, won the Woodhaven Stakes pretty nicely. Now he's going to the allowance race, which is more probably an overnight stake race, looking at this field. But if he can get this win, I'll be very impressed. And probably, if he wins this, I would believe he'd be the favorite in the Belmont Derby, or maybe St. Hill would because he won that race. But be interesting.
I'm going a
What
completely
are they
different
doing
route.
to the 7? Geldney. Oh, sorry. Go on.
Oh, that's pretty funny because I was just about to say I'm going with the 7. He's 15-1 on the morning line coming in from overseas. I'm going to take my chances with him in this race, getting lighter competition.
Yeah, I was looking at it differently, but similarly. I don't know what they're doing with the 7. I don't know what they're doing. Gelded, a horse they paid 1.3 million for. So this horse has to be off the walls crazy with testosterone in order for them to geld him. He must have bled. That's why he's over here with Lasix on. 1.3 million, and Charles Appleby still wants this horse. Training in the U.S. for this race. I don't know if this horse is a turf horse. I really don't think that he is, but I think they're putting Mike Smith on to see if he likes the turf or not. It's a good horse to take a chance with. If he don't, I wish they put the horse back on dirt, put Mike Smith back on, and then do it all over again. But this race for that horse, this one reason is made me so interested in this race out of nowhere.
Yeah, because they're interested why he shipped over here. I think they were pointing to the stake race, but they must have not found one. Now he
Oh, no, this horse. He must think that this horse might be a Breeders' Cup horse. That's the only reason why he's over here. He's just testing the waters for turf before he goes full turf instead of trying to do dirt and see what that turf
he pretty
does.
much shipped over cross country for a Belmont allowance.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's kind of dumb because honestly, you know where the Breeders' Cup is. It's at a place that I hate this year, and the turf courses between Belmont and Del Mar could not be any different. So I don't really get the point in that.
Let me use an example there though. Is there is a point? There's a Wesley Ward. He did this with a horse that I can't remember who it was, and I think the horse wound up running like second or third in the Breeders' Cup. So the horse breaks its main sprinting on turf, turns around and runs it again on turf sprinting an allowance race, and it does the same thing. It wins. And then he turns around, puts it going a mile on the turf at Belterra, and you're like, why is this horse here? Well, he's given this horse just a prep trial run, and again, it's not worth it for shipping all the way over here for just this race unless you think this horse is special.
Yeah, I totally understand that. It's a long trip, and maybe it'll work out for him, maybe it won't. Like I said, I like microsecond to wire the field. There's another Pletcher in here. There's another Donk. There's a Donk. There's a Klaravich entry with Abreu and Chad Brown. It's a tough race to close it out. But that's all we got, everybody. Anything else for Belmont Stakes Day?
Good luck.
Thank God there's no Bob Baffert.
Excellent point. All right, that's it, everybody. For Dennis Trusty, for Sammy Roseman, for Jack Sargent, thank you so much for listening. Have a wonderful Belmont Stakes Day. I know I will. I know my friends will. I hope you guys all will as well. Pay your bills first. And good luck on what is the best day of racing all year long. And I mean it.